few days ago, I saw something on Threads. I posted it in our 18 school Big Ten Black Alumni group on Facebook. There are multiple slides. Feel free to pause them so you can read them. So yes, I do have a master's degree. It's a Master of Science in the Arts. My bachelor's in Telecommunication Media Arts. My minor is in History. That said, I do find it very, very humorous that people think I'm not qualified or call me a DEI hire, and they barely graduated high school. They don't have a associates, or they have taken or gotten a GED. I'm not saying that or making fun of people who got a GED or only has a high school diploma. The issue is when you start attacking me and other black folks professionally, and we have masters and doctorates and tell us we're DEI hires and we will never be at where we're at because we are affirmative action hires and we don't earn it, that's an insult, okay? That is an absolute insult. Because if it was so easy to get all that, you would have done it too. They would have done it too. It is not easy to get a degree. 4-year, 6-year, 8-year. It is not easy. Even a 2-year associate is not easy at all. But the point is, on that aspect of DEI, they use it as an insult because they think that they got one over on us. But yet, when you critically think about it, they're really exposing themselves. Now, can we talk about DEI being code for the N-word? I think we shall. Listen to this clip from the 1980s. It will give you a little insight on how these people think.
Here's how I would approach that issue as a statistician, or no, as a psychologist, which I'm not, is how abstract you handle the wasteland. In other words, you start out, and now y'all are quoting me now. You start out in 1954 by saying never, never, never. By 1968, you can't say never. That hurts your backfire, so you say stuff like forced busing, states' rights and all that stuff. And you get so abstract now, you're talking about cutting taxes and all of these things you're talking about are totally economic things, and the byproduct of them is blacks get hurt worse than whites. And subconsciously, maybe that is part of it. I'm not saying it, but I'm saying that if it is getting that abstract and that coded, that we're doing away with the racial problem one way or the other. You follow me? Because obviously sitting around saying we want to cut taxes, we want to cut this, and we want is much more abstract than even the busing thing. And a hell of a lot more abstract than never knew. So any way you look at it, race is coming on the back.
They already know if they say the N-word outwardly, they'll be getting a 2-piece meal with a biscuit from Popeyes and a water. Oh, I'm sorry, no water. But you know what that means. You should know what that means. Basically what we have here is you have people who are inherently racist, trying to use codes, trying to use things to insult black folks. All right, that's number one. Number two, in 2025, they're using DEI as their hidden code, or they think is hidden, to use the N-word, or to call us the N-word. I had a conversation a while back that people really hate the fact that more and more black people are getting educated. More and more black people are getting advanced degrees. More and more black people are getting access to areas where they're qualified or more than qualified to do the job. And the thing is, if you really, really think about it, that's why they're trying to destroy education. It's not because it's bad. I mean, they did to themselves. They did it for their own ghoulish reasons. Yet they want to dismantle the Department of Education. They want to privatize all schools. They want to put the Bible in these schools for this reason. They don't want people to get educated. Too many people have been educated. Too many people have known the truth, and too many people are using that to empower minorities. And naturally, that's a bridge to the second part of what we're going to discuss in this drop. I am blessed to be able to talk to my grandmother, my great-grandmother, and her sisters. My grandmother on my dad's side is still alive. I have talked to my aunts, my uncles, my cousins on civil rights. And one of the things that I have gotten, and a lot of people have gotten, when they sit down and think about this, is that we are taking what we have right now for granted. My mom's and my aunt marched with Dr. King in 1963 when he marched down Woodward Avenue in Detroit. My grandmother obviously was there as well. Have a bunch of cousins who were involved in the civil rights fight. Even going to the 80s, they still fought for justice in areas. Because some areas was better than others when it came to adjusting to the civil rights movement and civil rights laws. But somewhere down the road, we have gotten lazy about this. We have taken everything for granted. I'm not talking about that generation. I'm talking about generations after that. A lot in Gen X, or I would say some in Gen X. You have more in my generation. And as it's going to come to Gen Z, they have never gotten the proper education that the millennials and the Gen Xers got about the civil rights movement. Thus, they don't take it as seriously as they should. And I know a lot of us have heard the things about Malcolm X, Dr. King, Fred Hampton, and other civil rights icons have been branded with Marxism moniker in order to distract and to wash what they did for civil rights, especially for African Americans, down the tubes. And when the calls of chaos come to us, they don't know what to do. A lot of people in my generation won't know what to do. Because we are too comfortable in our material possessions. We're too comfortable with our lives. As long as we get in the bag, we're okay. As long as we have our house, our car, whatever, able to eat fine foods, that seafood bag, whatever you want to call it, whatever you can think of. And as long as we can keep doing it, we're comfortable with racism. We're comfortable with letting people walk over us because of race. And that is something that we really, really need to get a lot better at as a whole. I know a lot of people won't do that, but there's far too many people who actually would take that and just let it be. I think back to the effects of the Montgomery bus boycott and seeing how one boycott almost bankrupted the whole bus line in Montgomery, Alabama. It also affected the city as well, obviously. That's what happens when you have people come together as a unit and don't break because of selfish needs. And when you have people doing that and you have people on the same page, you can get a lot done. And right now, we're not getting a lot done on the civil rights front. We kind of got lazy in 1968 or after 1968, after Dr. King died. We don't have a leader. We didn't have a leader to actually take over for him once he passed away. So obviously, people started falling off. People got lazy, this, that, and the other. And you start getting comfortable in the world things. And now 60 years later, almost 60 years later, you have people who won't put skin in the game because they're just too comfortable. And that needs to change because They don't care. They won't care where your degree is. They won't care how much knowledge or experience you have. They don't care how qualified you are. Um, they see you as a skin color. And to them, that terrifies them, especially an educated skin color. So how do we fix this? We live in an era where attention spans are as short as an inch. We live in an era where people will rather read memes and listen to videos on YouTube instead of going to the library and taking books and reading books, especially older copies of books and books that are, first edition, because those are ones that have not been edited, and those are ones that actually tell more truth than anything. That's a good tip. We need people to be more open-minded when it comes to education, not get drowned out by media. I mean, be it legacy media, television media, be it the internet, or YouTube, or your feeds on your social media page. We have to get back to where we actually absorb education. We absorb the truth. We absorb history, and we can actually know the right from the wrong. There's a lot more we can discuss on this subject. There's a lot more that can be discussed on this subject. There's a lot more that will be discussed on this subject at a later date. But at the end of this drop, remember this. Civil rights was fought for a long time in this country. And since we arrived, we have taken for granted. And we're at the point right now, we can't take those civil rights for granted any longer. So please, and I urge you, take up the fight when you can. Educate somebody. March, protest, boycotts, whatever you need to do to make sure that our civil rights don't get lost.